From the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate.
Nobody likes to hear the truth. Last night, the Americans were furious when I told them the truth, that they are going to make a lot of money from the war in Ukraine. They hated it, they hated hearing it, but they know it's the truth. Fact is, viewers, the truth is something very few people want to hear, especially when it's bitter. Especially when it deals with the war and the spoils of war. The killing, the blood that's pouring on the streets. Nobody likes to take responsibility. But tonight, the profit of war must not be undermined. The money financed by the bloodshed in Ukraine, the money America will make, the billions Wall Street punters will make, the money they are making on the Wall Street, on the stock exchanges, on defense companies, and the billions defense contractors will make. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. Unfortunately, the truth that not even the Ukrainians want to hear. Now the other truth. The truth that this war is not between armies. It is between the Russian army and the Ukrainian people. It is a war between a trained, heavily financed Russian army and the civilians, Ukrainian civilians. And the visuals are telling. On the one side, warship after warship after warship of the Russian army in one line, steaming off the coast of Mykolaiv in the Black Sea. The might of the Russian naval war machine coming to help, to try and complete the battle. And on the other hand, what do we have, viewers? On the other hand, ordinary Ukrainians. Ukrainian civilians we just saw, now lining up, trained in underground bunkers. Civilians learning to use arms. Civilians even learning to launch surface-to-air missiles. Yes, this war is between Putin's war machine and the people of Ukraine. And I know this will hurt Russian pride, and I know the Russians will hate me for saying it. But it is the hard truth, it is the absolute truth. Visuals of more and more military convoys being sent in from Moscow. Miles upon miles upon miles of billions of rubles of Russian military reinforcements. Putin's war machine. But to fight whom? To fight ordinary civilians who are lined up in the hundreds, to learn how to use guns and landmines and defend their own country with their bare hands. No, this is not a war between armies. This, they say, is the biggest war of the 21st century. But it is a war between the Russian army and the Ukrainian people. And that is the nature of this war. And that is why you can never really be sure how it will conclude. In such a war, ladies and gentlemen, you can never really tell who is going to eventually win. That's debate number one tonight, the Ukrainian people and the Russian army. Hashtag army versus people, ladies and gentlemen, debate one. The truth nobody wants to hear, only here. And also at 10 o'clock tonight, the reorganization of the entire world. Was it time for that? Is this the way to do it? But it's going to happen. All this and more is coming up, and here are the headlines this Thursday evening on The Debate Tonight. It's a missile rain over Ukraine. Russian tanks are advancing. Most cities are on the verge of capture.
Янка, Толя. О, летит, блядь.
Твою мать!
done as the bombardment continues is a breakthrough possible.
They're given the basic training of how to handle the arms, and on the other side there is a simulator. That simulator would basically tell them how to move into areas where there is a gun battle that is basically going on.
Ukrainians pick up arms as all over 18 are asked to join the war. Will Russia fight them? Will Russia kill them too? The world's largest war reporting team is breaking barriers. Tonight, Republic is live from Ukraine. Republic is live from Poland. Republic is live from Belarus. Republic is live from Hungary. And Republic is live from the Donbass.
Right behind me are DPR and Russian forces artillery firing on Ukrainian-controlled territory here in the area.
Reporting right from the front, watch the tanks fire on Republic TV cameras every minute of the 8-day war on the channel that is redefining global war coverage. And all nations take a stand and countries switch sides. Is a new world order inevitable now? Tonight, their Ukrainian air defense systems are almost flattened. Their army is being outnumbered, and its people are being trained to take up arms against the mighty Russian army. The pictures are just telling us one story. Russia is capturing more cities. And it is now just a war between the army of Russia and the people of Ukraine. Let's debate.
Опять, короче, район где-то то ли парк Шевченко, то ли... О, летит, блядь! Твою мать!
Ебать, ёб твою мать!
Ребята, там,
Starting from eastern Ukraine, where Kharkiv has been pounded, what we have seen is that there have been this battle between Russia and Ukraine. While Russia has already announced that Kharkiv is under their control, the Ukrainian side has rejected such reports, saying that the battle still continues, be it Kharkiv or the other bigger cities. For instance, take a look at what's really happening in and around Kiev. In Kiev Oblast, where there have been several strikes that have taken place in the last 24 hours, specifically speaking in Zotomir, which was an area which did not see attacks beyond 48 hours. But what we have basically seen is that untouched areas are now coming under attack of these missile strikes that have been carried out by Russia.
Russian warships seen off Mykolaiv coast near Ukraine's capital Kiev.
If you take a look at the map of Ukraine, starting from Kiev, which surrounding areas, the Kiev Oblast area, which has come under massive attack, various missile strikes over the last 24 to 48 hours. The fear still looms large as far as the telecommunication lines are concerned. Well, in fact, we are coming to you live right now from a territorial defense unit in Ukraine. We're not going to disclose the location from where we are getting you these live images while a training is basically underway. What you see just behind me is a group of civilians here in Ukraine who are now basically being given that kind of training. What you see is weapon training that would be given to them. Right now, we are standing in the area which is largely known as the tactical training session, in which the civilians here, they would be taught as to how to move around in a war zone. On my right hand side is a dummy kind of a situation that is created. What you look at, these are some houses, some obstacles that have been created so that they can move it around, and they are all basically taught how to use these weapons. You see, there are sort of dummy weapons on that has been kept here. They would be using these very weapons, dummy weapons that would be used in a short while from now. And the instructor from the Ukrainian army would be basically be teaching them how to use these weapons and move around in groups. After covering the tactical side, we are now entering the building which is where they receive the arms training. Let's take a look at how the training essentially takes place. As you can see from here, you have some sort of a training that is imparted here. They're given the basic training of how to handle the arms. And on the other side, there is a simulator. That simulator would basically tell them how to move into areas where there is a gun battle that is basically going on, and how exactly are they supposed to fire. I'll ask Rawatji to take us to the other side. Let's also quickly go to the other room where I will take you through the simulator. The simulator has been created by the Ukrainian army. What they would essentially be doing is telling all the civilians who are here how exactly are they supposed to handle the weapons.
In Ukraine, it is Russian artillery versus the will of the people.
Ми пройшли стільки всього, і якщо хтось думає, що подолавши все це, українці, всі ми злякаємось, зламаємось або здамося, він просто не знає нічого про нас, він не знає нічого про Україну, і йому нема що робити тут, нема що робити.
There are talks on the table, but should Putin decide to still go on war, it will be a very tough battle for Russia, as it will have to face the steely will of people of Ukraine.
Тобой Александр, да, Саша?
Ну да, наверное, дали вот позвонить. Я только...
Нет, Александр какой-то звонил, я с ним разговаривала. Я говорю, я буду всю жизнь молиться, главное, чтобы...
Let's debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Ukraine tonight, former Member of Parliament Natalia Buchkovska and former Member of Parliament Max Nefyodov is deputy of the Kiev Council in Ukraine. Maria Chapila is fellow at 21 Democracy, live from London. Bogdan Butkavich is a journalist from Kiev. And from Moscow, political analyst Dr. Daria Dugina is back with us. Dr. Natalia Burlinova, foreign policy analyst from Moscow tonight. Also professor at the Department of International Affairs at the Faculty of World Economy and International Affairs at the High School of Economics in Moscow. Maxim Bretersky and Audrey Afanasiev is a journalist from Moscow. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I got any pronunciation slightly wrong. However, I'd like to begin by asking you, Dr. Daria Dugina, to debate and come on the debate right on top tonight with Natalia, who's a former member of parliament from Ukraine. Are you really winning? Are you sure you're winning anymore? Because all I'm seeing is pictures of more and more and more and more Russian reinforcements being rushed in. If you're winning, then why are you desperately bringing reinforcements? If you're winning, why are nuclear forces on alert? If you're winning, why are you sending warships now on the Mykolaiv coast? If you're winning, why are you attacking government buildings and warning more precision strikes? Tonight, I'd like to remind you, tomorrow is the 4th of March. And all I'm seeing here is more and more and more Ukrainians turning up every single day. Hundreds, thousands of Ukrainians lining up to fight for their people. I have a picture sometime back and I want to tell you about it, Daria. I don't know if you're really going to win this psychological war which you wanted to start, but I have a picture today of a footballer from Ukraine. a footballer called Vitaly Saplio. I'll put his pictures up, ladies and gentlemen, in just a minute. On your screen, it will be in just 1 minute. I'm sharing it with my team. His name is Vitaly Sapilo, football player of F Football Club Karpaty. Ukrainian footballer. Died in a battle with the enemy. This footballer from Ukraine commanded a tank platoon and destroyed more than 30 units of military equipment of the Russians. And today, President Volodymyr Zelensky has signed the degree on posthumously awarding him the title of Hero of Ukraine. And you think this is not having an impact? You want to see the pictures? Hundreds, thousands of Ukrainians lining up now to fight, learning to use weapons. My question is, are you going to kill them too? This is becoming the people versus the army. Dr. Dugina, it is not army versus army. It's the Ukrainian people versus the Russian army. Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes. First of all, I will begin from notifying the fact that it is not the army against the civilians. It's army vs. army. So because Russia, you mentioned that the operation was not very quick, and it's not like 48 hours, which was announced by the American analytical centers, American press. So that's because Russia was choosing high-point attacks on the military infrastructure of Ukraine, and there is a great difference between an operation and a war. An operation is the attacks on the military infrastructure, and this is exactly what's now in process. The war as the genocide. What was actually about the balance of army and people? Actually, what was happening from 2014 in Donbas region was Ukrainian army against Russian people of Donbas. That is important to say. And the other thing which is very, very important up to date is the thing about the Indian students and about the talk of Modi and Putin. So actually, Putin told Modi that Ukrainian security forces use Indian students and human shields. I will remind this is in Kharkov region, one of the region which feels, according to sociological polls, quite pro-Russian, and actually which was also during 2014 more favorable to to have an independence or even to join Russia. So Ukrainian authorities are now forcibly detaining a large group of Indian students in Kharkov who wish to leave the Ukrainian territory and travel to Belgrade. And in the call of Putin and Modi, there was very important things about that Russian side is trying to organize this urgent evacuation. So I think we must also focus on this thing that Ukrainian army started to use this live
No, you tell me. It is. I'd like to. Yeah, Dr. Dugina, I want to go across to Natalia. I'm just saying, I repeat one point. It is the Ukrainian people on the one side and your military on the other. It is not an army versus army anymore. Natalia, please.
Yes. Yes, sure. It's a Ukrainian people who defending their freedom against Russian army. And when we are talking about civilians, it's not operation, because all these airstrikes, they are touched and killed our civilians. Since 7 days of this bloody Russian invasion, we lost 2,000 civilians and more than 50 kids are wounded. We have also killed kids in our cities. So all these airstrikes, it's not only for military bases, but also for live and very crowded civilians' quarters and their houses. So now what we see, it's a humanitarian catastrophe, and some cities are surrounded and they are without water, electricity, and people ask for some help. So this couldn't be just operation. It's a real war and invasion. And when we come back to 2014, so our territory was occupied by Russian forces, and Ukrainians fighting for their freedoms, values, and we want to live in independent state. And now, why all civilians, and you show these pictures, and you can see it's from worldwide media, took weapon, and even without weapon. So teachers, financiers, bankers, politicians, students, they actually oppose Russian tanks without anything in their hands. So yesterday we have a very heartbreaking picture when civilians and inhabitants of small city around the biggest nuclear weapon, nuclear power station, they just came and create this live wall, not to allow Russian tanks to enter the biggest nuclear station in Ukraine, because it's dangerous. It's not only for them. So they protect not only their city, but also the rest of the world and Europe from the catastrophe. Because so your picture and your vision.
I just wanted to say there the pictures. The pictures I'm running right now. Sorry to intervene, Natalia. The pictures on the screen, ladies and gentlemen, I'll run them full frame. Are from Mariupol, where there has been a lot of Russian bombing, and this really is the story of, if you can call this a war, at the end of 8 days. The story is simple. It has become very complicated for Russia. Very, very, very complicated. Because the Russians are just intensifying their bombing, they are targeting civilians, then they are denying it, but the pictures are quite clear. But what is making this very complicated for the Russians is that the people's resistance has become stronger. More and more civilians, Dr. Natalia Burlinova, hundreds, thousands, civilians of Ukrainians just lining up, undaunted. They have been trained in guns, assault rifles, explosives, mines, grenades. They're not just members of the territorial defense units of Ukraine, Dr. Burlinova. These are the people I'm talking about who are fighting you now. They are, Dr. Burlinova, teachers, bankers, students. Dr. Burlinova, students, 18, 19-year-old students, gardeners, mechanics. You hear me, Dr. Burlinova? Truck drivers. Can I be back, please, on the debate?
Yes,
Truck drivers.
I do hear you.
They're all picking up arms. They are all picking up arms. Every day, the number of Ukrainians who are lining up to fight you, on the screen, please, lining up to fight you is increasing every day. That question is to Dr. Natalia Burlinova, please. Thank you. Are you going to be able to handle it, Dr. Natalia? And on the other side, can I go across to Maria, please? Yes.
Well, first of all, they are not fighting against me. I'm sitting in Moscow. They are fighting against the army against the army. It looks like that you really underestimate the Ukrainian army, because Ukrainian army is number 3 in Europe. It has a lot of armament. It has a lot of power after Russian army and Turkey. So it's number 3 in Europe. So you say that Ukraine doesn't have army. It has. And this army is very large, is very professional, is very trained by the American instructors, so do not underestimate this army. And moreover, those cities, Kharkiv and Mariupol, these are the centers where the pro-national units of pro-national battalions such as Azov are situated, and they use civilians, they use people who live in these cities as a shield in order to fight against the Russian troops. Yes, it is a big problem today that the civilians are involved in this conflict, and that the Kiev authorities use these people in this fight. And this is a big problem because it will bring a lot of casualties, because these people are not professionals. They are a target for people who are professionals, I would say. So this is my answer, and I really feel sorry that you do not show pictures from Donbass right now, which is under attacks and under the bombings. That you do not show pictures from Donbass where people suffer. They have been suffering for 8 years. a lot of refugees as well, a lot of dead people. More than 150 children were dead during this conflict on Donbas region. And you never show these pictures. I have not seen that in your program right now.
Dr. Natalia, you've been watching my program for the last 5 minutes. And you have made a statement which is completely false and untrue.
Probably.
Because well before, allow me to complete, well before your state government, well before Russia Today was ever in Donbas, and even after Russia Today leaves, we have had more presence on Donbas than all the Russian media. So please don't make a statement like that. The question really that you ought to reflect on, Dr. Burlinova, did you underestimate either the Ukrainian army or the Ukrainian people? You said, I mean, I had on my program, and I'm saying this on record, I had Max is a deputy of the Kiev Council, he'll respond to you. I had people 5 days, 6 days back who said, oh, Ukraine, we'll crush them in 2 days. We'll take Kiev. It will take 2 to 3 days. Today is the eighth day, and it's getting complicated. And Dr. Burlinova, you know it. You know it, it is getting complicated for you. And I'd like Max to respond because my debate is not with you. Max, please, from Kiev.
Well, thank you. To be honest, it's disgusting to hear Russian lies. For some reason, Putin and his propagandists, they have some kind of irrational hatred to Ukrainian nation. For many years, they're translating the lies that Ukrainians are not a nation, Ukraine is not a country, and they're going to destroy and crush all Ukrainians. But the funny thing is the more they hate us, the stronger Ukrainian nation building is. And actually, the more they shell Ukrainian cities, and the more they kill innocent people. I mean, you can lie here from Moscow. You can lie sitting in a studio where I know that if your Russian experts say something wrong, they're going to be jailed themselves. Currently, there is a law in Russia that if you tell something that is not in line with Putin, you're going to be jailed for 15 years. So of course they're going to lie. Of course they know. They're extremely afraid. All these people know that they will now never come to Europe, they will never go to any resort, they will never fly a plane, and they will never buy an iPhone. They are going to live behind an iron curtain, the same as during Stalin times. They're going to be afraid to tell anything. And the only thing they can do is hate Ukrainians and actually support killing Ukrainians. They just tell these blatant lies. Everyone can watch your program. Everyone can see these videos that Russian army can't take Ukrainian cities. The only thing they can do is shell them and kill civilians. Yes, they indeed thought that they are going to take Kiev in 2 days. And they were actually bringing policemen with them. They were actually bringing police cars in order, to patrol the city and in order to bring some kind of Russian management. It never happened. Now we see already many thousands of Russian soldiers dead, many thousands of Russian soldiers captured. We see these poor soldiers actually hungry. We see them lost in the woods because Russia hates their own people basically in the same way as they hate Ukrainians. So yes, I mean, this is an extremely blatant lie, and I'm very sorry that a lot of Ukrainians and a lot of Russians will pay their lives because of one psychopath, because of Putin, and because of all those people around him who just are afraid to step up to him and who want to sit in their studios and then just like all of them dream about immigrating. All sons and daughters of Russian officials, they live in America, they live in Europe, they don't live in Russia, they don't go to Kamchatka, they want to go to New York, and they're extremely afraid that their assets are going to be frozen and everything that they stole from people of Russia is going to be frozen. That's why they need this war. They just want to bring an iron curtain in Europe in the same way as it was during Stalin times, and they think that this is going to save them. This is the reason why Putin sits at the extremely long table. He's very, 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 very fearful that someone is going to kill him, that someone is going to poison him, that not Americans, but his own people, because they do understand that they're going to live under the Iron Curtain again, just because of Putin.
I want a response from one of our guests, please, either Maxim or Audrey in Moscow. I won't say a thing now, but Maxim or Audrey, would you like to respond to that? And it is, this is the reality that you are sending in. Maxim, you're sending a lot of reinforcements, you're sending missiles, but wherever you're sending your tanks, the Ukrainians are climbing on top of your tanks. You must have seen the pictures from Bakhmut city, Chernihiv. Ukrainian civilians are climbing on top of Russian tanks to stop them. The locals of Melitopol are protesting, stopping your convoys. Your army is being forced to fight a civilian force that is training in the thousands to take you on, who are very motivated and who clearly, Maxim, are not afraid to lose their lives to fight the Russian army. How will you handle such a situation? Yes, please, Professor Bretetsky.
I would agree that the morale of population was underestimated. Another thing that I believe is that sending these young guys, not very young guys, to the front is highly irresponsible, because we all know what will happen. So something like that, my short comment.
And Andre, what will happen now? You are obviously sending more and more reinforcements. But all I'm seeing, Andre, and I'm not making up these pictures, Andre, right? My reporters are in Kiev, are in Lviv. My reporters have been in Kharkiv. Bogdan is there in Kiev. He's a journalist. He can respond to you on the ground, right? We are seeing people line up. If I show you some of the pictures, you would be astonished. There was one shot that we just had where there were more people wanting to come in to enlist than the soldiers could handle. Were you prepared for this situation, and how will you handle it? Yes, please. Audrey, could you respond to that, please? And I'll get Bogdan to respond from Kiev. Audrey, please,
okay, Arnab,
from Moscow.
As a journalist to a journalist, I was watching the show. It's a professional one, so you can have my compliments. But I've noticed several fakes. First of all, this video with incoming missile in Kharkov was not hitting a civilian building. It hit a warehouse with military goods, with guns. Second, the video with the so-called hostage from Russian army talking to his wife. Anyone who speaks Russian will understand that this person didn't talk to his wife, but to a person he never knows. So we cannot be sure that he is actually the Russian hostage and not an Ukrainian actor. So you are an Oxford graduate, and the way you do this is a professional. Let me respond, please. So please,
thank you.
Be respectful and not colonial to your audience.
So Audrey, I want to tell you, Audrey, I'll tell you one thing. Now, you said something to me as a journalist to a journalist. Let me tell you one thing.
Yes.
See, Audrey,
it's unprofessional.
I would like to tell you, most humbly, please understand. I know the situation in Moscow. I know that as a journalist, you cannot question Putin there in Moscow. But let me tell you, Audrey, please open up your eyes. That is an apartment block. It is not a nuclear plant. Human beings live there. Civilian apartment block, Audrey. Do not believe everything that Kremlin is telling you. Please understand, Kremlin told you they would finish Ukraine in 2 days. See what is happening today yourself.
It's not Kremlin.
Please see it. No, please see it. And you tell me, Audrey, okay, I'll ask you one question. I'll ask you one question, Audrey. One question. Tell me.
Yes.
Okay, Audrey, one question. No, I'll get you one question. I'll put Shawan up live from the center right now. Audrey, listen. You said that I should not put up fake news, okay? I am telling you, my reporter is there. He's one of the best journalists in India. Shawan Sen, fantastic reporter. Because you challenged me, I put him up live. I will put him up live. He will show you the pictures of people lining up. He will show you the pictures of people lining up to join the Ukrainian army. Are those fake pictures too?
How can we trust you if you are lying to us? You are lying to your audience, Arnab. It's disrespectful.
You don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe the truth. Are you saying, no, one second, Audrey, I'll get Bogdan to respond. He's also a journalist from Kiev. See, listen.
Is there a law banning this in the media of India?
Audrey, I'm an Indian journalist. I'm an Indian journalist. You are a Russian journalist. And I have a Ukrainian journalist from Kiev.
Okay.
Okay? I am telling you, do you think... No, 1 minute, Audrey. Allow me to complete. Do you think that this network, the Republic Network, we are capable of recruiting 1,000, 2,000 Ukrainians to act in some movie-like situation
but you are capable
and make them stand behind my reporter and lie to my reporter that they are preparing to fight Russians? Have I doctored that scene?
Of our fellows and friends, and making them think that everything that's happening there is just a Russian aggression. It's a defensive mission against
listen.
Nazis who have been killing children for 8 years.
I am a well-wisher of your country, and I just want to tell you, as a well-wisher of the Russian people, please understand, this is a battle between your army and the people of Ukraine. If it was only between the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian Russian army, it would have been easier for you.
The worldview of Anglo-Saxons in your country and globally.
If you call me an Anglo-Saxon, then I will call you somebody from planet Mars. But I won't fight with you. I'll let Bogdan respond to you.
The problem is that
he doesn't believe me.
To represent planet
My friend Audrey refuses to believe what I'm saying.
So I can speak? Okay, so I want to tell you one very useful point. Now you heard the typical Russian propagandist. He's not a journalist. He's a that helps his Russian troops to kill Ukrainian civilians.
No lies, no abuse. Don't use that language. Bogdan, please.
Sorry.
Please don't use that language. Express your anger, but I request you. I request you. One journalist to another, I request you. Please, let's be civil. Audrey, calm down. No response. Thank you. No abuse. No abuse here. Thank you.
Okay. So, and one more useful thing that you must understand what's going on here in Ukraine. Maybe, on the India history. So, all the situation with Bangladesh in 1971. So you can imagine that Ukraine, it's something like Bangladesh. And Russia, it's a Pakistan. And we want to live in our independent country. We want to have our independence. We want to make our country great and divide with our aggressor, with Pakistan or Russia. And now Russia, Pakistan is trying to make with Ukraine, to commit the genocide, something like Pakistan made in 1971 with Bangladesh. So it's a very useful thing for whole and European and such great nations, for example, like Indian nations, to help Ukrainian nation to defend our independence. Because Russia, it's really, Russia is like a Pakistan, in that situation. That is the typical aggressor that's now lying all over the world. They make, some kinds of something like how to explain, like truth. They don't believe any words because their only way is to kill Ukrainians and to take our independence down. So when you hear such kind of persons that taking about, that's not a Russian rockets and airplanes. So I can tell you only one thing. I'm now sitting here with a candlelight because we must to switch the light on because Russian planes and Russian rockets is lying out and beating on Ukrainian civilians now. And it is truth. And no Russian murderers can tell that it's not truth. It's really truth. So, and I think that Indian people must understand this because, I try to explain that Ukraine is like a Bangladesh and Russia, it's like a Pakistan in 1971.
I'll get Audrey wants to respond. Gentlemen, I just want... Yes, Audrey. Yeah, go on, Audrey.
Arnab, I will not be using any swear words or any other things. So,
thank you.
First of all, the opposite side is talking about hatred all the time. And I cannot say that I hate Ukrainians, I hate Ukrainian culture. I have a lot of friends there still now. And the difference between Russia and Ukraine is that Russia does not feel any hate towards Ukrainians and Ukraine. And Ukraine is built on the hatred towards Russia. Look at him, because I'm just telling truth. And this truth is burning him from the inside. Brother, let's stop this, please. You are my brother, and we need to finish this war. So please, stop this.
Yes.
We didn't start this war, but we have to finish it.
May I answer
Because
this
you have
liar?
been shelling
He's really
people
liar.
for 8 years. Yes, okay, and you are telling truth, but I'm calm and full of love to you. And you are burning from the inside with hatred. Please, it will destroy you. Stop it.
So may I answer to this liar? I want to say only one thing. I wish you that rockets, Russian rockets, which now breaking with love from Russia, Ukrainian cities. So I wish you that rockets will crash down your house, and then you will tell about the brother. We got no any Russian brothers. We got brothers in Poland. We got Russian brothers, for example, in Bulgaria, in all of the countries of the world, but not in the country that is killing our civilians and now lying all over the world that they don't kill civilians. You know, you heard that like this liar telling you that, oh no, we don't kill civilians. Our rockets is very clever, and they beat when they beat the civil houses only the Ukrainian militaries. It's lie. You must understand. I really try to explain to Indian people. Please imagine the situation, 1971, and how Pakistan aggressors made with Bangladesh. So it's very similar to the situation that we got now in Ukraine. So remember, please, how Pakistan aggressors killed people, committed genocide.
I want to get in Dr. Natalia.
Yep.
I want to get in Dr. Natalia. Dr. Natalia. You know.
Yes.
Tell me one thing, Dr. Natalia. I was seeing the pictures there of the Ukrainians who are enlisting in large numbers to fight the Russian army. Tell me, Dr. Natalia and Dr. Daria, can I have both of them on, please? And Dr. Natalia Burlinova from Moscow, Dr. Natalia Katsa from Ukraine, Dr. Daria Dugina, as well as Max. Tell me, Dr. Natalia Burlinova, that question is to Moscow. Tell me, are Russians lining up? Are Russians lining up outside your army headquarters to fight Ukrainians? The Ukrainians are lining up everywhere you go. Hundreds and thousands of Ukrainians are lining up to join the army. Are hundreds and thousands and thousands and thousands of Russians lining up to join the Russian army today? Tell me. Dr. Burlinova, please.
No, the Russians are not in line because I think that they have a very good army. But what you do is a very big provocation. Really, I was invited to participate in this show as a political foreign policy analyst and not to fight against the Ukrainians about these things. As a foreign policy analyst, I really hope for negotiations, and I hope that Kiev authorities and Russian authorities will be at least wise to discuss all these things, not on the ground, but on the table. So this is my answer to you.
Okay. I'd like to get a foreign policy response from Maria Chapila, who's fellow at 21 Democracy. You have much faith in the negotiations. Dr. Burlinova has faith and she expects much out of the negotiations. Maria, please. Can I go to Maria, please? Maria? You have much faith in the negotiations? Maria?
Thank you. Last time there were negotiations, what we witnessed is that Russia just started shelling a lot of buildings, and it went really dangerous, really fast, because obviously Russia was trying to increase its bargaining position, and as a result, during negotiations, many people, civilians, they died while there were some negotiations happening. I am actually really afraid of the negotiations that are about to happen, because it looks like negotiations as a platform during which provides Russia with time where they can commit all the various barbaric atrocities that they're committing to Ukraine. So I'm really scared of negotiations. I'm more scared than I am hopeful. Obviously, like all Ukrainians, I would like to hope that all of this will end, and I wake up every day, if I get to sleep at all, to hear from my friends that they spend their night in shelters. My aunt who lives in Kyiv just managed to escape 2 hours before a sniper entered the part of the city where she lives, because they were just shooting civilians. This is enormous. It's just barbaric what Russia's doing to Ukraine. I would like to hope that negotiations can work, but to be very, very honest, I think negotiations work when another party is civilized and is open to discuss on like fair terms and to actually cooperate, instead of setting some demands and not wanting to respond to trade something and to actually engage in a conversation, which I think is what Russia's doing. Obviously, they want to negotiate because it gives them time to rearrange their forces and
interestingly, just as thank you, Maria. Interestingly, just as Dr. Natalia Burlinova says she wants to look at the foreign policy perspective, we have a statement that has just come into our newsroom. So I'd like to read it out, please. May I? And I get a response. It comes from the United States Undersecretary Victoria Nuland. It has just come in, and since you're a foreign policy analyst, I'd like your first reaction to it. Dr. Burlinova, the US government says that if Russia is ready to withdraw its troops from Ukraine, then the United States of America is ready to negotiate. What do you think?
Well, the United States are the only winners in this whole situation and this damned crisis. What they can say a lot of things, but who them trust? No, I think that this is the first time when Ukraine and Russia should sit down without any mediators and to agree about very basic things, just looking into eyes of each other. Mediators made a lot of efforts to provoke both sides into this conflict, and mediators are still very happy about the prolongation of this conflict, because Russia, Ukraine, the EU are the main losers of the whole this situation, and the US are the only winners.
I don't understand this. You know, I think it's an important state. I have always felt, and I just
have a few.
Yes, I'm coming to you, Dr. Natalia Katsa. I want your response as well to what the Americans are offering. Yes, please. Yes, Natalia. Natalia from Ukraine, please. Yes, go ahead, please.
Well, yes. So when we're going to straight directly to the point to understand where is the truth and where is the lies, you should, the decision of United Nations countries should be taken into account. 143 countries recognize this as a war, the offensive war against Ukraine. So 143 countries analyzed the information, they took the data from the ground, they saw all these videos, and they see where all these missile strikes to the civilians, 2,000 dead, and it's not a military operation. So now it is a fact. The Criminal Court of Justice in Hague start their trial. So they start, and this is exactly against Russia, and it's exactly against why this bloody war was started recently. So if we're looking where is the truth and where is the lies, it couldn't be the fact that 143 countries see the situation in another way. So almost all the world is supporting Ukraine. I received thousands of messages from my colleagues from Harvard, from UCL, from all my schools, all my communities, from different countries of the world, even 2,000 countries, who actually ask me about the situation and what's happened. The question why it's happened, but the fact is a bloody war against our state, which would be actually, excuse me, this war would be investigated. So guys who are telling this propaganda, please think, what do you defend? For what are you fighting for? For what you are working for? If you don't see this picture, and if you don't understand
the only thing I find an agreement on today, if you ask me, Natalia, the only thing even from the Russian side, Audrey said it, even when there were hot words exchanged with Bogdan, I think talks, I mean, the sentiment is, let's end the fighting. At least that's one positive note. Let's see if there's any progress. I don't think the Americans can be neutral mediators in this. On that, I agree with the Russians. You can't trust the Americans, but that's what my personal view is. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back on the other side, the other perspective of all this is that there is going to be a change in the world order, whether one likes it or not. America and its allies have dominated the world economically and strategically ever since the Second World War. Was there need for a rebalancing? And if there is a rebalancing happening, is that what Russia is really working for? Is that the Russian endgame? More on that when I come back.